Hello and welcome to this special class where I will talk about Buddhism. Okay, so let's get started. See, Buddhism is a very important part of ancient Indian history, and Buddhism it becomes very important for us because you get a lot of questions from Buddhism. Buddhism is important because Buddhism, it became one of the most popular religions during that phase, and it left a lasting impact on on the landscape of India. Okay, it left a lasting impact, and it continues to impact India. Buddhism is also important because one of the most important reasons why Buddhism is so very important from the point of view of APSC is that Buddhism led to the growth of art and architecture. So even from the point of view of art and architecture, Buddhism is very important for us. And as Buddhism is important, you tend to get a lot of questions from Buddhism, both from the art and culture point of view as well as from the generalistic point of view. So let's get started with Buddhism. Today we will look into the reasons which led to the growth and rise of Buddhism. That's the first part of this segment. Second, we will look into the tenets of Buddhism, who founded Buddhism, what are the most important teachings of Gautam Buddha, and how Buddhism went on to create an ecosystem where everyone could come up the ladder. And we will also talk about the reasons behind the downfall and decline of Buddhism, and we will also talk about, then we will come to the second segment of this session where we will focus on the contribution of Buddhism, or we will focus on the contributions being made by Buddhism to the sphere of art and culture, which is very important. Okay, so let's get started. See, first and foremost, let's try to understand what are the causes which led to the origin of Buddhism. Ki karanat Buddhism or janma hoisil. So in order to understand that, we need to first understand a few things. Okay, in order to understand the reasons behind the growth and rise of Buddhism, we need to understand the social conditions. Okay, we need to understand the social conditions. Hekhini homoyot society khon kenekwa asil ba hekhini homoyot society khonot ki hoy asil ghotna. So ami already jano, in order to understand these reasons, we have to move back in time. We have to slightly move back in time. We need to go to the period which is known as later Vedic period. Later Vedic period ki hoisle, later Vedic period ami hokolbe jano, later Vedic period varna system jak ami caste system buliu ko, caste system or janma hoisil later Vedic period. Are a caste system to followed ki hoisil. Why we are talking about a caste system now? Because a caste system to followed by later Vedic period rituals or poriman bahut besi badhi goisil, aru later Vedic period a caste system to followed, society got divided into 4 prominent castes. Okay, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Itia a caste pilakor mazot, there was some kind of a friction which was going on. There was some kind of a friction like a cold war, it was going on between the castes, and all the three other castes had some kind of a problem with the Brahmins. Okay, we need to understand this. All the 3 other castes. What do I mean by 3 other castes? I'm referring to the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas and the Shudras. All 3 of them had a problem with the Brahmins. Now let's first try to understand what was the issue of the Kshatriyas with the Brahmins. So the issue of the Kshatriyas with the Brahmins, okay, the issue of the Kshatriyas with the Brahmins was that the Kshatriyas were kind of fed up with the Brahmins, because if we look into one of the later Vedic texts by the name of Shatpatha Brahmana gives us an idea about the growing sense of materialism among most of the Brahmins, among most of the people who were into performing rituals. Okay, it gives us a very dangerous picture of a growing sense of materialism. It tells us that the situation had become so very serious that the Brahmins had started demanding the entire kingdom from the kings. And kings, as we all know, they belong to the Kshatriya caste. And the logic was that since the kings, and how could the Brahmins demand so much from the kings? Because the kings were dependent on the Brahmins, because they used to do all the they used to perform all the rituals on behalf of the kings, and they used to act as intermediaries between the kings and the ultimate god, because they say that we have the ultimate knowledge, so we can help you win battles. So the kings in a way became dependent on the priest, And the priests, according to Shatpatha Brahmana, started taking advantage of that, and they started demanding more and more things from the king. And things came to such a pretty pass when the kings did not like the situation anymore. So now they are by the time we reach the age of Mahajanpads, okay, by the way, Buddhism belongs to the age of Mahajanpads, which starts from around 600 BCE and which continues to thrive until 300 BCE. So by the time we reach age of Mahajanpads, the situation has become so serious, that the Kshatriyas have now changed their opinion about the Brahmins, about the priestly class altogether. Now the Kshatriyas are saying what? Now the Kshatriyas are saying that since we are the protector of the priestly class and the Brahmins, since we are the ones who give them protection, since we are the ones who give them protection, since we are the ones who feed them, who give them money, so we should not be dependent on the Brahmins anymore, but the Brahmins are dependent on us. So let's change the way we are looking at things. And since the Brahmins are dependent on us, it is the Kshatriyas who should occupy the number one slot in the Varna system. Okay, all this while the number one slot was occupied by the Brahmins. So they are now of the opinion that since, according to them, the Brahmins are dependent on the Kshatriyas for food and clothing and all other basic necessities of life, so they are the ones who should occupy the number one slot and not the Brahmins. Okay, this was the issue of the Kshatriyas with the Brahmins. So some kind of a friction was going on between the Kshatriyas and the Brahmins also. Okay, and by the way, the founders of both Buddhism as well as Jainism, Gautam Buddha as well as Mahavir Jain, both were from the Kshatriya community or Kshatriya caste. Now let's try to understand the friction which was going on between the Brahmins and the Vaishyas. See, what do I mean by Vaishyas? The Vaishyas were primarily doing two things. The Vaishyas were primarily, they were doing two things. They were producers and they were traders. Okay, let's first try to understand the equation between producers and the priestly class. What was the issue? The producers, let's say farmers, let's say those people who are into agriculture, those people who are into producing something or the other. Now, for those people who are into producing something or the other, let's say in this case example farmers, cattle is one of the most important assets, especially cows. Okay, for the farmers, cows are of what? They are of much use for a farmer. A farmer can use a cow in order to, in so many ways in the sphere of agriculture, he can use the cow. So cow is a very useful animal for any farmer. So cattle wealth became a point of dispute. Cattle wealth. So according to, cattle wealth became a point of dispute or became a flashpoint between the friction which was going on between these two castes. Okay, which two castes? The Vaishyas, and among the Vaishyas, the producer class and the Brahmins. Why? See, because for the producer class, cattle were supposed to be preserved, especially cows are supposed to be preserved. But on the other hand, Dharma Shastras are the law books of Hinduism. Those were written by the Brahmins. Okay, priestly class. Those are the socio-legal texts of Hinduism. Dharma Shastras, they prescribe what? They prescribe sacrificing cattle, especially from the time of later Vedic period onwards. Okay, the practice of cattle sacrifice, it gains momentum, and by the time we reach age of Mahajanpads, it becomes even more, it becomes even more popular. Not exactly popular, but it is prescribed even more. So on the one hand, okay, are you guys getting my point? On the one hand, we have the producers class who are saying that we should preserve the cattle. On the other hand, the Brahmins or the priestly class is of the opinion that we should sacrifice the cattle. Okay, because Dharma Shastras say so. Okay, so this was the friction. The traders were having a different kind of a friction with the priestly class. What was their problem? See, traders, as we all know, business koribo hole, we all require loans. Loans is an indispensable part of any business. Any major business you do, you have to take loans. You have to take loans. And if you go out and if you look out for a person who will give you a loan, okay, it may be an institution, it may be any person, okay, it may be a private money lender, it may be a friend, okay. Let's not talk about friends, because a friend can help you only with a small amount of money. I am now talking about a major loan which you can take only from a financial institution or a private money lender. In both the cases, they will charge you an interest. Who will give you a loan for free of cost? Who will give you a loan without charging any interest? It's not possible. And so what did I say just now? So for the traders, taking loans by paying an interest was very, very important. But as long as they were within the fold of Hinduism, they could not do that, because the Dharma Shastras said what? Dharma Shastras said that taking or giving interest is a very serious offense. It is what? It is a great crime. It's a sin. It's a sin. Okay, in English we call it usury. It's a great sin. It's a great sin to take. Okay, it's a great sin to take or what? It's a great sin to take or give what? It's a great sin to take or give interest. Okay, so this is the friction. So, and because they were within the fold of Hinduism, they could not take or give interest, or they could not take loans. As a result of that, they could not do flourishing business, or as a result of that, they had to suffer a bit. So they were on the lookout for a religion which could allow them, which would permit them to take loans on interest. Okay, and that's what happened when they got converted to Buddhism. When they embraced Buddhism, Buddhism allowed them to take loans on interest. So you will see a lot of businessmen, okay, joining the ranks of Buddhism. You will see you will see a lot of producers joining the ranks of Buddhism, because they were on the lookout for a religion which would liberate them from the clutches they were under, or which would allow them to do things as per their liking. Okay, so this was the issue the Vaishyas had with the priestly class, and we all know the issue the Shudras have with the priestly class. They have always had issues with the priestly class because the caste system itself was not in the favor of the Shudras. They were not allowed to climb up the ladder. So the Shudras, they had to live a very what? They had to live a very inferior. Okay, they had to live a very inferior life, even if they were talented. Okay, even if they were talented, they could not do things as per their liking. They had to suppress their desires, their dreams, because the caste system was quite rigid. It was not flexible. At least on papers, it was not flexible. Some kind of flexibility was seen in the society, but at least on papers, it was not flexible at all. So because of its rigidity, the Shudras could not move up the ladder, and they were also on the lookout for a religion which would allow them to do things as per their talent, not based on their birth. Okay, so Buddhism, as we all know, it doesn't accept the caste system. Okay, it does not accept the caste system, or even if it does accept the caste system, it does not discriminate based on the caste system. No discrimination based on the caste system. Okay, so anyway, so, and another very important reason was the condition of women. We know that by the time we reached later Vedic period, the condition of the women deteriorated. Okay, condition of the women was okay during the early Vedic period, but condition of women was deteriorated during the later Vedic period. So the women were also on the lookout. During the early Vedic period, they had the freedom to do whatever they wanted, but during the later Vedic period, they did not have the freedom to do whatever they wanted. And by the time we reach age of Mahajanpads, they are also on the lookout of a religion. They are also on the lookout for a religion which would liberate them, okay, which would give them some kind of a liberation. Okay, so these were some of the causes. These were some of the causes which led to the origin of Buddhism. Okay, so now see Buddhism boli kole. The next thing that we need to understand, so social background to this. So this was a social background in which Buddhism came into existence. Buddhism became popular. So the ground was already set for Buddhism. For example, there are different schools of Buddhism. Okay, there are different schools of Buddhism, but before talking about the different schools of Buddhism, I would like to go a bit forward, and I would like to talk about Buddha himself. Okay, life of Buddha. Okay, so in this situation Buddha was born. Okay, he was born as Siddhartha in 563 BCE. Okay, at Lumbini, we all know. Okay, we all know he was born at Lumbini, which was near Kapilavastu in Nepal. Okay, Lumbini is, by the way, Lumbini is also known as Ruminde. Okay, Lumbini is also known as Ruminde. Lumbini is also known as Ruminde. In fact, Ashok, there is an inscription of Ashok by the name of Ruminde inscription, in which he reconfirms that the birthplace of Buddha was Lumbini itself. Okay, so Buddha's father's name was Shuddhodhan and his mother's name was Mahamaya. But Mahamaya dies right after giving birth to Buddha. Because of that, Buddha was being brought up by his foster mother, whose name is Mahaprajapati Gautami. And because Mahaprajapati Gautami shares a very close rapport with Buddha, she starts having a deep influence of Buddha and later as well as on Buddhism. Okay, Mahaprajapati Gautami. In fact, it is said that Buddha initially was not in the favor of admitting women as monks. It was only under the pressure of Mahaprajapati Gautami. It was only after she insisted that Buddha finally agreed to admitting women as monks in the monastic order of Buddhism. Anyway, so okay, Buddha was also married to Yashodhara at the age of 16. So anyway, they also had a son named Rahul. So when Buddha was 29 years of age, okay, when Buddha was 29 years of age, he saw 4 things. He saw how many things? When Buddha was 29 years of age, he saw 4 things. These are known as 4 signs. Okay, these are known as what? These are known as 4 signs. Now, what were these 4 signs? These 4 signs were: number 1, sick man; number 2, old man; okay, number 3, dead man; and number 4, a sadhu. These were the 4 things. Buddha saw for the very first time. He was unaware of all these things. He was oblivious to all these things because he was being raised up in a very secured environment. Okay, he was not being made familiar. He was not being allowed to come face to face with any kind of pain. So he was unaware of all these things. But one fine day he came across these 4 things: sick man, old man, dead man, and sadhu. And he realized that barring just one of these 4 signs, barring just one of these 4 entities, all the other 3 entities could be associated with misery and sadness. Sick man, sadness; old man, again sadness; dead man, again misery and sadness. Only the sadhu had a smile on his face, and that was the turning point in his life. It is said that that is when he decided that I need to live a life like a sadhu. I need to live the life of an ascetic. Okay, and he came back, but after coming back to his palace, he grew very, very restless, and one night he decided to leave his palace. So at the age of 29, he left his palace sitting astride on his horse named Ganthak. Okay, he left his palace. That very episode, that very event in the life of Buddha is known as ki. That very event in the life of Buddha is known as Mahabhinishkraman. Okay, what do we call it? We call it Mahabhinishkraman. Mahabhinishkraman. We call it what? Mahabhinishkraman. We call it Mahabhinishkraman. In English, we call it Great Departure. Great Departure boliko. When he left palace in search of the ultimate truth. And it is said that after leaving his palace in search of the ultimate truth, he went to various places. He tried various means. He also tried a very strict form of fasting, and he came very close to death. Okay, which is when he realized that it is very futile, there is no point fasting. And then he gave up fasting, and then he started meditating at the age of 35. Finally, after meditating for 48 days, on the 49th day, he is said to have attained enlightenment, and he was meditating under a peepal tree on the banks of a river Nirjara at Bodh Gaya, at a site which today is known as Bodh Gaya, which is in the Bihar district, and where today stands the very famous Mahabodhi temple. Okay, so, and this particular, this is very important because Buddha attained enlightenment now. And after attaining enlightenment, what did he do? After attaining enlightenment, Buddha, just like any other individual who feels very excited to share, his knowledge with others, so Buddha was also very excited and he delivered his first sermon. Okay, after attaining enlightenment, he delivered his first sermon. He delivered his first sermon at Sarnath. Where? At Sarnath. Sarnath. It is in Uttar Pradesh. It is in Uttar Pradesh. Sarnath is in Uttar Pradesh. And what do we call this event? What do we call this event? We call this event Dhamma Chakra Pravartan. We call this Dhamma Chakra Pravartan. Turning of the wheel of law. In English we call it ki turning of the wheel of law. Dhamma Chakra Pravartan. And after this event, the most important event to have happened in the life of Buddha was his death. Buddha died at the age of 80. Okay, where does he die? He dies at Kushinagar in UP. He dies at Kushinagar in UP. Okay, he dies at Kushinagar at UP. Kushinagar was one of the two capitals of Malla Mahajanpad. The other capital was Pavapuri, and Pavapuri was the death place of whom? Mahavir Jain. But that's a separate story altogether. Now let's focus on Buddha. He died at Kushinagar at the age of 80, and this event is known as Mahaparinibban. This event is known as ki Mahaparinibban. The literal meaning of Mahaparinibban is ki death after attaining Nibban, because Buddha had attained Nibban at the age of 35. At the age of 35 itself. So Mahaparinibban means what? Death after attaining Nibban. Okay. Nibban is when you have attained the knowledge to break the cycle of life and death. When your soul has attained the knowledge to break the cycle of life and death. Okay, that is called Nibban. So anyway, that particular peepal tree under which Buddha had attained enlightenment, in due course of time, it came to be known as ki Bodhi tree. That particular tree came to be known as Bodhi tree. Okay. Now as you see here, admission is going on for ADRE 2.0. Okay. Online new batch, and some of the features are live classes, concept notes, PDF, mock test on app, quick revision series, recorded classes, practice set, mentorship, and we have got the best of faculty. So if you join now, you can get exclusive discount, and if you join now, and you will get exclusive discount only if you use this code, and the code is CSAP33. CSAP 33. Okay, CSAP 33. Okay, so these are some of the online new batch. Okay, so CSAP 33, it's a very good program. I would urge everyone who is interested to appear for ADRE exam. So please, okay, please subscribe, or please you can go ahead, you can get in touch with us. Okay, these are the phone numbers 91275155541. Okay, you can also visit our YouTube channel, which goes by the name of CSAP IAS Academy. We are also available on Facebook, Instagram by CSAP Assam. Okay, and you can take admission with us, and we ensure your success. Okay, so anyway, so moving ahead, see, Buddha is often represented in 5 forms. Buddha is often represented in 5 forms. Lotus and bull, it represents the birth of Buddha. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, these are some of the symbols which are used in order to convey. These are some of the symbols which are used to convey the most important events in the life of Buddha. These are some of the symbols which are used to convey, or which are used to indicate the most important events to have happened in the life of Buddha. Lotus and bull, these are used to convey what? These are used to convey birth. Okay, horse is a symbol which indicates which indicates Mahabhinishkraman, because Buddha left his palace sitting on a horse, like I said. Bodhi tree represents the enlightenment phase of Buddha, because he sat under the people tree, which later came to be known as Bodhi tree. Wheel represents Dhamma Chakra Pravartan, turning of the wheel of law. Okay, that particular phase. And stupa represents death or Mahaparinibbana of Gautam Buddha. If we talk about the teachings of Buddha's 4 noble truths are very famous. The first, the 4 noble truths. Buddha said, point number 1 or truth number 1, world is full of misery and pain. Number 1. Number 2, number 1, the world is full of misery and pain. Number 2, desire and expectation are the root causes for all this pain and suffering. Number 2. Number 3, it is possible to end the suffering. Number 4, the solution is to follow the 8-fold path. The solution is to follow the 8-fold path. Which is also known as Ashtangika Marg. Now what is this 8-fold path? Buddha talked about 8 things. And if we follow these 8 things, we can move or we can inch close to attaining Nibbana. Right understanding, right thought, right speech, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right conduct. How you are conducting in your day-to-day life. Just because you have been insulted by someone, you have to deal with that situation in a very dignified manner. You should not lose your dignity in adversity. That's a very famous line. We should not lose our dignity during adversity. We will come across, being human beings, every now and then we will come across adverse situations. How we overcome those adverse situations makes us. It defines us. It shows our personality. It shows our mentality. It shows how strong we are. It shows our character. So right conduct, right mental aptitude or effort, right means of making a living. Honesty is the best policy. Honesty is the best policy. Don't cut shortcuts. Don't cut corners. Hard work, there's nothing like hard work. Hard work will give you the ultimate amount of success in life. All other things are not permanent. The success you get via hard work, it will remain forever. It is permanent. Right mindfulness, at least you can go to bed thinking that I have earned this success. On the other hand, if you earn success through unfair means, you cannot have a peaceful sleep. Money is not everything in life. How you have earned that money, how you have earned that money also matters. That thing has to give you peace of mind. Jodi poisa kamuar pisot jodi peace of mind na thake, hantit na thake, then what is the use of that money? So see, right means of making a living, right mindfulness and right concentration. So iman important bostu ekita he karone APSC last year APSC Mains khudisile ebilak proshno. Directly 8-fold pathor kotha huda nai, kintu how can you apply the teachings of Buddha? The question was that how can you apply the teachings of Buddha in protecting the environment? So the next year they might ask you, how can you apply the teachings of Buddha in improving your life? Or to resolve conflicts between nations, between religions, between etc. 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 Itia ami olop agole jao. So see, Buddhism in due course of time, in due course of time, now it so happened that there were 4 Buddhist councils. The next thing about Buddhism that we need to study is about Buddhist councils. Councils bolile ki buja? Councils were occasions when vital decisions were taken regarding the future course of action of Buddhism. When vital and crucial decisions were taken regarding the future course of action or regarding the future of Buddhism. So first Buddhist council, first Buddhist council happened in the same year when Buddha died. First Buddhist council happened in the same year Buddha died. First Buddhist council happened the same year Buddha died, and the year was 483 CE. First Buddhist council. What was first Buddhist council? First Buddhist council, First Buddhist council happened at Rajgir. Rajgir was the first capital of Magad. First Buddhist council happened at Rajgir. Who was the patron? Who was the king who supported this council? Who was the patron? Who was the king who supported this council? Ajatashatru. Ajatashatru. Ajatashatru asile. Mahakashyapa asil the president. Mahakashyapa was the president. Aru a Buddhist council khonot ki hoisil? Important bostu. A Buddhist council khonot ami je Tripitaka buli ko, one of the oldest, okay, one of the oldest religious books of Buddhism, Tripitaka, is made up of 3 books, Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, and Abhidhamma Pitaka. A tinikhon kitabor Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka deals with what? Sutta Pitaka deals with the teachings of Buddha and other Buddhist monks, and Vinaya Pitaka deals with the rules and regulations of the monks. Karon Buddha monk or system to introduce korsil. Monks mane ki they will not be married and they will dedicate their lives to the cause of Buddhism. A system to ki ami ko monastic order ba Buddhism ba Buddha ki koisil sangha. So sanghat thokar obosthat members bilake ba monks bilake rules and regulations bilake je follow koribo lagibo hebila kod dia asil Vinaya Pitaka. So Sutta Pitaka ar Vinaya Pitakar compilation ketia hoisil first Buddhist council or homoyot hoisil. Second Buddhist council exactly 100 বছৰৰ পিছত হৈছিল 383 CE. Okay, exactly 100 বছৰৰ পিছত 383 CE কত হৈছিল Vaishali. Okay, Vaishali হৈছিল. Okay, ৰজা কোন আছিল Kal Ashok Roja asil. He was of the Shishunak dynasty. Kal Ashok, okay, not Ashoka the Great. Okay, aru tumar Sabakami was the president. A Buddhist council khonot, second Buddhist council khonot ki hoisil? Second Buddhist council khonot Buddhism saw an informal split. Informal, formal nohoy, informal split hoisil, and 2 divisions, 2 groups form hoisil, informally form hoisil ki duta division or naam hai Mahasanghikas and ki. Okay, one division came to be known as Mahasanghikas. Okay, Mahasanghikas boli ami koisilu, eta division ki koisilu ami Mahasanghikas, aru anto division ami koisilu those who believe in the teachings of the elders. Okay, one division came to be known as Mahasanghikas, and the other division came to be known as Sthaviravadins and Mahasanghikas. Mahasanghikas kini ki kore? Mane Mahasanghikas kini kun asile? They were pro changers. Tahati kisuman monastic rules mane sanghar kisuman niyom niti changes bisarisil, aru anto group jar naam ki asil Sthaviravadins. Tahati koisil amak kono dhoroner changes nalage because we believe in the teachings of elders. Tar pisot ahi gol third ketia hoisil 250 BCE. Okay, not CE, 250 BCE. 250 BCE third hoisil kot hoisil Patliputra. Okay, Patliputra, the last capital of Magad. Patron kun asil Ashoka the Great. Okay, Ashoka the Great. President kun asil Mogaliputta Tissa. Our most important development during third Buddhist council was the composition of Abhidhamma Pitaka. Abhidhamma Pitaka Buddhism or philosophy logo deal kore. Abhidhamma Pitaka, the most important development. Tapisot fourth Buddhist council hoisil around 72 CE manot. Kot hoisil fourth Buddhist council hoisil tumar Kashmir or Kundalwang in Kashmir. Supporter kun asil Kanishka the Great. Okay, president kun asil Vasumitra. Vice president asil Ashwaghosh, who composed Buddha Charita, the first, or he composed Buddha Charita in Sanskrit. So lahe Buddhism dharmo toyo nijor bhasha junto originally it used Pali, it has Sanskrit adopt korise. Aru a fourth Buddhist councilor atait koi dangor development to ki Buddhism or formal split hall Hinian and Mahayan. Okay, Hinian and Mahayan. So hey ami Hinian and Mahayan ki hoy, Hinian ki Mahayan ki ami tar bikhoye ami porhiboloi goi aso. So Hinian ki Mahayan ki. Okay, so Hinian, so a Hinian or Mahayan formation ketia hoisil fourth Buddhist council. Okay, ekkebare simple bhashat kobole gole Hinian mane ki or Mahayan mane ki. Okay, Hinian or Mahayan or mazot thoka differences bilak ki. Hinian or ortho hol the lesser vehicle or the lesser path. Okay, Hinian hetu form of Buddhism ami Hinian boli ko, junto form of Buddhism Buddhar original teachings bilakot believe kore ar kono form of deviation tahati nokore ba thora aru kisuman characteristics ase. Okay, Hinian boli kole kisuman features bujai. Jeneke for example, they are considered the orthodox school. Tahati Buddha God hisabe consider nokore. They do not permit idol worship. They do not permit idol worship. They use an iconic representation of Buddha. An iconic representation of Buddha mane symbols. Okay, moi jotoni koisilo symbols. So symbols are used Buddhism ot keneke ahile because of Hinian. Karon Hinian did not permit iconic symbols mane because Hinian was against the concept of idol worship. Okay, Hinian treated Buddha just as a historical figure, not as a god. So ebila kisman differences, but the most important difference was the fact that Hinian believed in the concept of arhat. Arhat is something who can be linked to the concept of individual salvation. Individual salvation. Mane the central figure in Hinian form of Buddhism is Arhat. Who is an Arhat? Arhat is a person who has attained Nibbana. Okay, Nibbana attain kora mane ki a end mane juntu tumar cycle of life and death thake. Hey, cycle of life and death. Current Buddhism also believes in what? Transmigration of soul. Soul to ketiao dhongkho nohoy eta body destroy hor pisot soul to an eta body bitor humai jay. হেতুকে আমি কওঁ ট্ৰান্সমাইগ্ৰেশ্যন অফ সোল এটা ট্ৰান্সমাইগ্ৰেশ্যন অফ সোল হৈ থকাৰ ফলত সোলটো এটা ট্ৰেপত এই যোনটো চাইকেলটো থাকে লাইফ এণ্ড ডেথৰ চাইকেল এইটো এটা ট্ৰেপ হয় এই ট্ৰেপটোত সোলটো সোমাই থাকে সো এই ট্ৰেপটোৰ পৰা ওলাই যোৱাকে ওকে এই ট্ৰেপটোৰ পৰা ওলাই যোৱাকে আমি কি বুলি কওঁ নিব্বাণা বা এই ট্ৰেপটোৰ পৰা কেনেকৈ ওলাব লাগে জ্ঞানখিনি আহৰণ যেতিয়া কৰে সেই জ্ঞান আহৰণ কৰা পদ্ধতিটোকে কওঁ আমি নিব্বাণা বা জ্ঞান আহৰণ কৰাকে কওঁ আমি নিব্বাণা attain কৰা সো এনিৱে So, Arhat kun? Arhat hejon manhu june Nibbana attain kore. Okay, Arhat hejon manhu june Nibbana attain kore. Arhat hejon manhu june Nibbana attain kore. Ar Nibbana attain korar pisot tekhete cycle of life and death to break kori jayege. Mane he has attained Nibbana, and after attaining Nibbana he breaks the cycle of life and death. Or cycle of life and death break kora mane ki he soul to aru prithibiloi ghuri nahe. Nohole soul to e prithibite trap hoi thake. মানে বডিটো মৰি থাকে কিন্তু সোলটো নমৰে ওকে আত্মা সো এনিৱে সো দ্যাট ইজ দ্য কনসেপ্ট অফ আৰহাত আৰু ইন্ডিভিজুৱেল সালভেশন মানে কি কাৰণ প্ৰত্যেকজন মানুহে নিজৰ নিজৰ সালভেশন নিজে বিচাৰি ল'ব লাগিব ওকে কোনেও তোমাক হেল্প কৰিব নাহে বুদ্ধাই কৈ গৈছিল ইচ ওয়ান অফ ইউ ইজ এ ল্যাম্প অনটু yourself মানে কি হি টকড এবাউট ইন্ডিভিজুৱেল সালভেশন সো আৰহাত অলসো হি ইজ অলসো আ পারসন আৰহাত ইজ অলসো আ পারসন হু হ্যাজ অটেইনড সালভেশন এন্ড হু হ্যাজ মানে ধৰা হি হ্যাজ what he has got individual salvation. Kintu Mahayan form of Buddhism, central figure is not Arhat, central figure is Bodhisattva. Central figure is Bodhisattva. Or Bodhisattva can be linked with the concept of what? Collective salvation. Collective salvation. মানে Mahayana কি কয় Mahayana কয় যে who is a bodhisattva okay bodhisattva কোন হয় Mahayana কয় bodhisattva এনেকুৱা এজন মানুহ যোনজনে নিব্বাণা attain কৰিলে আৰু যোনজনে ইচ্ছা কৰিলে এই যোনটো সাইকেল অফ লাইফ এণ্ড ডেথ এই সাইকেলটো ব্ৰেক কৰি সোলটো ওলাই যাব পাৰে কিন্তু সেই কামটো নকৰে okay তেখেতৰ হাতত পাৱাৰ আছে think of it like this তেখেতৰ হাতত পাৱাৰ আছে যদি ইচ্ছা কৰে if he wishes he can break the cycle of life and death never to return to this world কাৰণ ব্ৰেক কৰাৰ পিছত আকৌ ঘূৰি আহিব নোৱাৰে কিন্তু তেখেতে হে কামটো নকৰে তেখেতে কি কৰে তেখেতে জানে he has learned the art he or she has learned the art of breaking the cycle but he or she does not do that বৰঞ্চ আৰু নকৰাৰ কাৰণটো হল যাতে বাৰে বাৰে ঘূৰি আহিব পাৰে কাৰণ তেখেতেটো আৰ্টটো জানে ন সো যাতে বাৰে বাৰে ঘূৰি আহি বেলেগ মানুহক যাতে শিকাব পাৰে and he can help others attain salvation হেজন মানুহকে মহায়ানা বুদ্ধিজমে কি কয় হে এন্টিটিটোক মহায়ানা বুদ্ধিজমে বোধিসত্ত্ব বুলি কয় আৰু বোধিসত্ত্ব আৰু এইটোকে কয় কালেক্টিভ সালভেশন কাৰণ হি ইজ হেল্পিং আদার্স অটেইন সালভেশন নো এক্সাম্পল দালাই লামা is considered to be an incarnation. Dalai Lama is believed to be an incarnation of one of the most famous bodhisattvas. Or bodhisattvas there is a Mahayana form of Buddhism, but one of the most famous and popular bodhisattvas in Mahayana form of Buddhism is Padmapani. Okay, Padmapani he is being represented holding a lotus. One of the famous paintings of Padmapani can also be found in the Ajanta paintings. Okay. So, ekhini asil major difference between Hinian and Mahayan. Our Hinian form of Buddhism, okay, Buddhism generally ami azir tarikhot kot pao Sri Lanka pao aru Southeast Asian countries bilakot pao. Our Mahayana form of Buddhism to ami mainly pao China, Japan, কোৰিয়া, এসময়ত চেন্ট্ৰেল এছিয়াটো আছিল, এসময়ত আফগানিস্তানতো আছিল, ওকে, কনিষ্কাই যেতিয়া প্ৰমোট কৰিছিল। আৰু এটা কনচেপ্ট অফ বুদ্ধিজম বা আৰু এটা ফৰ্ম অফ বুদ্ধিজম বিকেম পপুলাৰ মাচ লেটাৰ, পালাজ অফ বেংগল, ওকে, পালাজ অফ বেংগল যোনখিনি 750 CE মানত পাৱাৰলৈ আহিছিল, তাহাঁতি এটা নতুন ফৰ্ম অফ বুদ্ধিজম প্ৰমোট কৰিব ধৰিলে, যাক আমি কওঁ বজ্ৰয়ান, ওকে। বজ্ৰয়ান ফৰ্ম অফ বুদ্ধিজমে মেইনলি দুটা বস্তুৰ ওপৰত ফ'কাছ কৰে, এটা হ'ল তন্ত্ৰ, আনটো হ'ল মন্ত্ৰ। তন্ত্ৰ আৰু মন্ত্ৰৰ ওপৰত বজ্ৰয়ান ফৰ্ম অফ বুদ্ধিজমে মেইনলি ফ'কাছ কৰে, আৰু উই অলছ' কল ইট ভেহিকেল অফ দ্য থাণ্ডাৰবোল্ট অৰ ডায়মণ্ড ভেহিকেল, ওকে। চোৱা, এইটো আমাৰ আৰু এটা এডভাৰটাইজমেণ্ট, APSC Mains 2024 টেষ্ট চিৰিজ আমাৰ, উই আৰ ষ্টাৰ্টিং ইট ফ্ৰম 10th of May 2024, ওকে। চ' এই গোটেই শ্বেডিউলখন তোমালোকে চাব পাৰা। আমাৰ 10th of May এছে আছে, ওকে, 11th GS2 ছেকশ্যনেল, ওকে, মেইনছ হ'লে আৰু বৰ বেছি দিন নাই, ওকে। 12 তাৰিখে আছে GS4 ছেকশ্যনেল। চ' গোটেইবিলাক ছাবজেক্টছ দিয়া আছে, ফুল লেন্থ আছে, ছেকশ্যনেল আছে, ওকে, ফুল লেন্থো আছে। চোৱা, 25th আছে আমাৰ GS2 ফুল লেন্থ, GS4 ফুল লেন্থ, এছে আছে, GS2 ফুল লেন্থ আছে তোমাৰ 1 তাৰিখে, মানে তোমাৰ 1/6, ওকে, তোমাৰ জুনত আছে। তাৰপৰা GS4 ফুল লেন্থ, তাৰপৰা ছেকশ্যনেলো আছে, GS1 ছেকশ্যনেল হিষ্ট্ৰী আৰ্ট এণ্ড কালচাৰ, GS3 ছেকশ্যনেল ইকনমি ইণ্টাৰনেল ছিকিউৰিটি, 5 ছেকশ্যনেল আছাম হিষ্ট্ৰী জিঅ'গ্ৰাফী, তাৰপিছত GS1 ফুল লেন্থ, GS3 ফুল লেন্থ, GS5 ফুল লেন্থ, GS1 ফুল লেন্থ, এইবিলাক বস্তু আছে। আৰু আমাৰ APSC Foundation Mains admissions are also going on for both offline as well as online. These are our key points, or these are our key highlights: comprehensive syllabus coverage, regular current affairs updates, special interview guidance program, exclusive study materials. We also provide recorded classes. We also provide intensive classes on essays and ethics. We also give expert guidance from experienced faculty. We also tackle with daily MCQs and answer writing practice, personalized mentorship, lifetime app access, and much more. Okay, admissions are going on. You may get in touch with us. Below the number has also been given, 91275-15541, and you can also visit our YouTube channel which goes by the name of CSAP IAS Academy. Okay, so admissions are going on. Book your seats now. So going ahead, so these are also the names of some of the Buddhist universities and founder. Okay, these are the names of certain Buddhist universities and founder. For example, Nalanda University is a very famous university. Nalanda University is in Bihar. Okay, Nalanda is in Bihar, and it was established by Kumaragupta. Okay, it was established by Kumaragupta. He was from the Gupta dynasty. Okay, it was established by Kumaragupta. He was from the Gupta dynasty. He established the Nalanda University of Bihar. Our Nalanda University, we all know, Nalanda University was very, very famous. In fact, Huan Sang and so many other Chinese scholars came to study in this very famous Nalanda University, which was destroyed by whom? Which was destroyed by Bakhtiyar Khilji much later. Okay, which was destroyed by Bakhtiyar Khilji in the beginning of the 13th century CE. Okay. That was what? That was Nalanda University. Then Odantapuri University. Okay, this was another Buddhist university. It was in Bihar. It was established by Gopal. Gopal was the founder of the Pala dynasty. Okay, Gopal was the founder of the Pala dynasty of Bengal. Then there was another university by the name of Vikramshila University. Sumar Dharmapala established Kurisila. Vikramshila University is in Bihar. Okay, then Somapuri University is in Bengal. Dharmapal established it. So Jagadal is another very famous university. Okay, Bengal. Rampal, it was established by Rampal. Then Vallabhi, Gujarat, it was established by Bhattarka. Apart from this, Buddhism or Bikhoy, Aru Ami Kisman Horu Kotha Ami Janibo Lagibo Jene, for example. Okay, Jene, for example, elephant, white elephant. What is the significance of white elephant? Okay, what is the significance of white elephant? White elephant also represents the birth of Buddha. White elephant also represents, okay, white elephant also represents the birth of Buddha. What is the significance of white elephant? White elephant or meaning to hol enekwa swa white elephant mane ki, white elephant represents ki boli kolu moi, it represents the birth of Buddha. It is believed that Buddhism believes that when Buddha's mother, okay, Mahamaya was pregnant, okay, when she was pregnant with Buddha in her in her stomach, then one night she saw a dream, and in her dream she saw that a white elephant was entering into her stomach. Okay, in her dream she saw that a white elephant was entering her stomach. So she could not understand the dream. So the next morning she discussed that particular dream with her husband Shuddhodhan. Shuddhodhan also could not make any sense. Okay, Shuddhodhan also could not make any sense of the dream. So Shuddhodhan took the matter up. He decided to call experts. Okay, so experts came to the court and they decoded the dream for Shuddhodhan and his wife Mahamaya. They decoded the dream and they said that this dream could have only two meanings, and those two meanings were, number one, either the child, okay, either the child will become the universal king, either the child will become the king of this universe, or he will become universal teacher, or he will become what? Or he will become universal teacher. And see, as they predicted, Buddha did become the universal teacher. Buddha is very, very famous. There is a very famous book also. Buddha has been called the Light of Asia. That's a very big title by a foreign individual. Okay, Light of Asia. Buddha has been called the Light of Asia. Okay, Buddha has been called the Light of Asia. Itya, very quickly I will tell you about the reasons behind the downfall. Okay, Buddhism or downfall kiya hol. Okay, Buddhism or downfall kiya hol. And then we will wrap up the class. Buddhism or downfall kiya hol. Buddhism or downfall hoar ek number karon. So ami ki korbo paro, kisuman external aro kisuman internal karonar mazot ami bhag kori lebo paro. Internal, there were certain reasons which were internal, and there were certain reasons which were external. Let's first talk about the internal reasons. Mane Buddhism or bhitorot hoa kisman ghotona. So number 1 ote ahibo ki? Number 1 ote ahibo corruption. What kind of corruption? Corruption and immoral activities. Now what do I mean by this? Ek number ahibo corruption mane ki, thora Buddhai juntu niyom banaisil je monks bilake gute bosor dhore tahati ghuri thaibo laibo, tahati kuno etokora jagat tahati thakibo nware. They have to keep moving karon thokar loge loge they will develop a sense of attachment for that place, and the whole purpose will what? The whole purpose of Buddhism will go down the drain. Okay, the whole purpose of living the life of a monk will go down the drain. So Buddha did not want them to settle in one particular place. On top of that, if you are settling in one particular place, how will you promote how will you take the teachings of Buddha to far off lands? That was another logic for not letting them settle down at one place. But gradually the monks, okay, most of the monks became greedy. Gradually, they got attracted to an easy life and they started settling down. And when they started settling down, obviously the promotion of Buddhism also stopped. So once upon a time, Buddhism was gaining huge popularity, but because of these reasons, the promotion stopped. So this was one. Immoral activities in Sangha. Okay, slowly and gradually, women in Sangha, the women monks in Sangha, they were what? They became objects. Okay, they became objects of sexual misconduct. They became victims of sexual misconduct. They ended up becoming objects of lust. There were many such instances when they were oppressed, not exactly oppressed, when they were molested. So these news, you cannot confine them to one place for a long time. You cannot confine them within Sangha. When these news started coming out of the Sangha, Buddhism, attracted a lot of what? Buddhism attracted a lot of criticism. Buddhism attracted a lot of bad name, which had an impact on the popularity of Buddhism. Okay, number 2, Buddhism. Okay, there was a time, like I said a short while ago, Buddhism's original language, or Buddha started preaching Buddhism in Pali language. But from the time of Mahayana form of Buddhism began, okay, Buddhism started paying more attention to Sanskrit in the place of Pali. And Sanskrit, as we all know, Sanskrit has always been, okay, the language of the Vedas. So it was not originally the language of Buddhism. So when Buddhism started giving preference to Sanskrit over Pali, so automatically Buddhism lost its individuality. On top of that, Pali was a language of the masses, and Sanskrit has always been an elitist language. Okay, Sanskrit has always been an elitist language. Pali has always been a language of the masses. So this was another reason. Sanskrit is not being understood by a lot many people. So now that Buddhism has started using Sanskrit, so automatically it will not be able to travel to a larger amount of people. Okay, so these were some of the internal reasons. Now external reasons. Slowly and steadily, Buddhism was made a sub part of Hinduism. How did that happen? Because Buddha was declared as what? As an avatar of Lord Vishnu. Buddha was made a part of what? Buddha was made a part of the Dash Avatar concept of Vaishnavism, and Buddha was made a part of the Dash Avatar concept, and he became an avatar of Lord Vishnu, okay, because of that particular incident, Buddhism also is said to have lost its individuality. Then another external reason is that another external reason would be the hostile attitude towards Buddhism being taken by some rulers, starting with Pushyamitra Shung. Okay, then came the Hunas. Okay, then came invaders like Bakhtiyar Khilji. So all these people were adverse. Okay, all these people were quite adverse towards Buddhism, because of which it is said that Buddhism started suffering and it started declining. Okay, so thank you so much for today's session. I'll see you all very soon in my next session.